Good morning, everybody. We have arrived in Croatia right now. I'm very excited about this. I'm going to show you outside in just a minute. We are still kind of pulling in towards the port, but if I have counted correctly, which I may not have, this is my 14th country that I will be visiting. If you count airports, then it would be my 16th country, because I've been to an airport in Germany and one in Belgium, but didn't go into the country, so depending on how you look at it. Plus there's 2 other US territories that I haven't counted in that. So very excited for my official 14th country that I've visited. So let's go ahead and take a look out the balcony. Right now I'm going to head to breakfast and then just probably bring it. I'm just not that hungry this morning. I'm kind of getting tired of all this heavy food because I normally don't eat like that. So I think I'm just going to have pastries this morning, which heavy or not, yes. But I've been doing pancakes and bacon. I'm going to tell you, I'm just tired of it right now. So I'm going to probably just bring it back to the room because I like to look out the balcony over there. And then I head out at, well, I've got to be in the meeting area at 8:25 and for my tour. So we're supposed to be walking the Ramparts, I think is what tour I've picked. And they were talking about this yesterday in the Going Ashore talk, where in the 1990s they had, I think they said the Balkans War here, and I remember that because I was definitely alive in the 1990s. I was an adult in the 1990s, the middle to late ones, but they said the history is very, very close to them. These people are alive, that they lived through this. It's not like something that happened you know, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. These people lived through this war, and you know, it definitely is a much more stronger feeling here, and everybody seemed to be extremely excited about going to Croatia. Never thought about it before myself, but I'm like, here we are today. So I'm gonna check back in with you guys later.
So sometimes it's faster to walk than to drive, but usually everything is walking distances and very pleasant. We have this fortune that we have lovely Mediterranean climate, long and hot summers and short mild winters. It doesn't snow here. We don't even wear hats or gloves in general, so it's very nice to live here, and there's no crime. So we have this beautiful water, and actually from May to October we can go to the beach, so it's very, very nice. Now tourism has become our main industry, and 25 years ago it was completely different, because we made part of a communist Balkanic peninsula, and these republics were Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Macedonia and Montenegro. Unfortunately, in this state, everything belonged to the state. Nobody was allowed to have private business. Whatever the government wanted, they could have nationalized it, and people were having some sort of life in fear. They weren't showing their religion, their nationality, and everything belonged to the state. The state was governed by the Serbians, and they were generals in the army, the directors of the state companies. We had a Serbo-Croatian language, which was mainly their language more than our own, and so on. And in a certain period of time, like at the beginning of the 90s, when there was this intention of creating a big Serbia out of Yugoslavia, other republics that were forming this federation have decided to leave it. which caused the war, because the Serbian state did not approve the idea of losing that much territory and money by letting these states get out of the federation, so they attacked. And Dubrovnik was among the cities in Croatia that have been heavily bombed by airplanes, military ships from the surrounding mountains. And we lived in underground shelters without electricity or water for months, and it was horrible. The old town of Dubrovnik, that is UNESCO's heritage, has been very badly damaged, and all these surroundings were occupied and burned down and destroyed. So that's mainly the reason why most of the houses today are brand new, because everything had to be reconstructed. But thanks to tourism, thanks to you and all the guests that have been visiting us in the last 25 years today, it doesn't seem that there was ever a war here. So everything is functioning well, and you can't see traces of war most of the time. In the past, Dubrovnik was a very famous republic, so here on our right-hand side we'll be passing these two lovely summer residences of Dubrovnik nobles from those times. That are Renaissance and Gothical palaces with small chapels, lovely gardens around, and they have been built in the vicinity of Dubrovnik, not in the old town, because at the time we also had very powerful enemies like Venetians and the Ottomans, and it was very important to pretend that we are poor, because if they knew how rich we were, they would have taken over and attacked the city. But they thought that we weren't rich, that we were poor, as we were showing to them modest houses and modest dresses. So because of that, the houses of the nobles were built in these hidden corners along the rivers, on the island and in the bays, so they wouldn't be seen by the enemies. And today these are lovely examples of the architecture from 15th and 16th century. This is very important for us because Dubrovnik has been destroyed by a very strong earthquake in 17th century. The walls that you see today have been reconstructed in the 15th century, because then Ottomans have conquered the Balkanic Peninsula, and because of the fear we had of them, the Venetians, and all the enemies that could take over the city, there was a law in Dubrovnik that each person that enters in the old town has to carry at least 1 kilo of stone or more as an entrance fee for the reconstruction of the walls. So today these walls are mainly from those periods of the 15th century when they have been reconstructed and made this strong and wide. Further on we did have additional reconstructions when the gunpowder has been invented and these circle towers have been added and additional fortresses, but mainly it's the 15th century when they have been built this strong. They're long almost 2 kilometers, high up to 25 meters and wide towards the mainland, even up to 9 meters, because those bastions towards the mainland have been added, and towards the seaside from 1 to 3 meters.
So this is the drawbridge and the bridge I've been talking about earlier, and this used to be a moat around the city. That has changed in the 19th century. Because in the past, when we didn't have our own language, we were using Greek in time of Greeks, Latin in time of Romans, Italian in time of Venice, and still in our dialect we have a lot of Italian words. So strada is the word for street, and stradon in Venetian dialect was boulevard. And since then it remains strada. So if you say plaza, I'm a guide here for 15 years now, and I would think that you want to go to the farmer's market because that's how we call it. So nobody ever thinks about the main street when you say plaza, which is its real name. Many people don't even know that it's called that. So strada. That's very simple. And Pila is the bus stop. So those are two things you need to know. So this is the main street, we'll see it now, and then we have parallel streets and side streets. We'll climb on the walls, you'll see everything. This is the rocky peninsula where the first settlement was, where underneath the cathedral we found the Byzantine Basilica, and this part of the city was formed by the refugees from the Roman colony, and it's still called Prijeko, and that means the opposite side, which was actually the opposite side of the first settlement. So we can person. Okay, let's go. Be careful. You always try to take the right hand side. Side. Trying to get out What's that?
Good or?
Okay, I'll raise somebody up.
Wow.
Oh, you know we got fight. You got that right there.
How about that? I might need oxygen. Elevation.
Look like they got two different kind of traffic here. You're better off getting farther away and then zooming in. That way you get what you want.
I understand the website. So here's like 700 members. And so they were playing all this stuff. So the picture of me.
Last time we left, it was about 40 degrees.
Because by having fresh water in the city, we were able to survive. So it was our independence, and at the time, other towns on Balkanic Peninsula didn't even have enough water. So we were wasting water and showing off that we have so much water at the same time coming out of the fountain. That fountain was much more decorated. It had a beautiful cupola, but in 1667, there was a very powerful earthquake that destroyed the city. And after that, the city never recovered. And thanks to the fact that in 15th and 16th century, when we had our golden age, our scientists, mathematicians, philosophers, poets, writers, painters studied in Italy mainly. There was a person in Italy, in Rome, a philosopher from Dubrovnik, who was a third non-Italian manager of Vatican libraries, and he found donators and architects in Rome that helped us to rebuild the city. So today Dubrovnik is mainly built in Roman Baroque style, and before the earthquake it was very lovely decorated with arches and Gothical windows and Renaissance arches. So everything was different, but some of those examples still exist in town, but mainly it's very modest. Because of the fact that we had Venetians and Ottomans as our enemies, especially the Venetians because we were their rivals in trade, they were trying to take over the city and stop its development. And because of that, we always had to rebuild the walls and organize life in town in a way so they wouldn't take over. And when the Ottomans arrived, we paid to them for our independence, and they used us as a neutral state to trade for us with other Christian states. But at that time, we had monopoly of salt, gold and silver mines, trade, navigation and shipbuilding, and we were very rich. And to be able to hide our richness, we had to pretend that we were poor. So there was a law of what the house should look like, and the houses were very modest. There was a law of how much gold can a person wear every day and how much on a wedding day or for special occasions. Even today, each part of the city has different types of earrings for everyday use and different for special occasions and weddings, thanks to that, because they were wearing too much gold and that was attracting attention.
We even have at the south of Croatia, where we border with Montenegro region, where instead of wearing jewelry, they wore embroidery around the neck and the sleeves so they wouldn't attract attention, even if they have their own jewelry. So everything was organized in this intelligent way, and that's why we were an independent state for 5 centuries. They never entered any war, and we were very small. Inside, we are mainly Roman Catholics, so inside the walls we have 44 churches. That is too many even for such a religious city. So those that you see hidden, like over there, there is the church, for example, or this first Renaissance Church of Saint Savior, and many chapels around the city are usually closed, and they open once or twice a year. While we have this big complex here, this is the Franciscan monastery, one out of 3 monasteries in town. This is the oldest one and the most popular because, the most popular. For some reason we like it the most because in 1317 it started to be built by local architects. It has a very beautiful cloister with 60 different capitals, built in Romantic and Gothic style, among the most beautiful all along our coast. And it's very famous because it treasures the 3rd opened pharmacy in Europe and the oldest working one, because it was never closed. It was only displaced from the center of the monastery in time of communism, and it was moved at the entrance. So you don't have to visit the museum to enter the functioning pharmacy, and the old one is exposed inside the museum with all the scissors, manuscripts, recipes, spices, everything they used. And today, at the entrance to the monastery, there is a functioning pharmacy where you can get some creams, mainly facial or hand creams with rose petals, bitter oranges, lavender, rosemary, all kinds of different ingredients that we grow along the coast. Different spices and different herbs. So that is still very popular. And it's the 3rd open and the oldest working one in Europe. And then we have a Dominican monastery up there where you see another tower. And here, this highest church on the right, there we have a Jesuit monastery. And then a lot of small chapels and St. Blaise's Church. St. Blaise is the patron saint of Dubrovnik. Maybe you noticed there's a statue above the entrances. So, by the legend, St. Blaise appeared in the town's cathedral in the 9th century, warning us about Venetian ships in front of the walls. And because of his warning, we fighted back, we were ready when they attacked, and the city was saved. So since the 9th century, St. Blaise has been chosen to be the patron saint of Dubrovnik, and he's above the city walls, every entrance in town palaces, presented as a bishop that holds Dubrovnik in the palm of his hand. That's how you can recognize him. And he is also known to be the protector of diseases of the throat, because by another legend, he saved a small boy that was choking with a fish bone. So we have traditional blessings of the throat every 3rd of February in Dubrovnik. There's a huge ceremony with different relics of saints carried on cushions along the street so we can touch them and have miracles. People from all over Croatia come wearing national costumes and traditional jewelry, coming here to visit St. Blaise's Church and participate in the Mass. So it's very beautiful. And we have this candle blessing with cross candles around our necks. Priests bless our throats, that protects from diseases of the throat during the year. And we have St. Blaise's Church on the main street. That's the 2nd St. Blaise's Church, because the first one was destroyed in the fire after the big earthquake. But another of his miracles is the fact when all the gold in town melted in time of that fire after the earthquake. That is the only thing, St. Blaise's statue in silver, gilded in gold, that didn't melt, that was found in the ashes. So that's still kept above the main altar, and that's another of his miracles.
Oh, it's very cold.
In a month, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm inside.
Oh, what's it with? Oh, I know, but it's still like, this is like the 2nd or the 3rd day that it's been this hot. It wasn't this hot.
Yeah, you had snow a couple of weeks ago. I saw it.
So
I was
this
watching.
heat can trick you, and you would think that the water is warm, but it's not.
Because that was also the time of different diseases when Dubrovnik was a republic. All the people that were coming by ships, they were isolated in the quarantine. So those stone houses with orange roofs, that is a quarantine, or that used to be a quarantine, of course. And the quarantine was a place where they would be offered a place to sleep, food and water, and they would stay there for 40 days without entering in the city. So in this way we would make sure that they're not carrying diseases, or if they would stay out. They wouldn't be let in town. In this way Dubrovnik never had any big disease or the plague in town. And the quarantine comes from Italian word quaranta, which means 40. So that's why they were keeping them there 40 days, and it was a quarantine. And just here there is also a breakwater that we were using with the metal chain to close the port. But as we go down the steps now on our ride, we'll proceed along the walls above the port and then go on the northern side, which is higher, and then we'll go down where we have entered. And they're actually, most of them live in that area without the port. And, of course, it doesn't have.
Hey guys, I am back from my tour. We came back on the bus at 12:30, so it was a shorter tour, but it was a fabulous tour. It definitely, you definitely had to have a pretty good physical condition to do it. I mean, you didn't have to be in the best shape of your life. I would just say we walked the ramparts, or the walls around the old city, so you definitely need to be able to climb a lot of steps to do this tour. There was a lot of walking. We probably took 2 hours or maybe a little bit more. Lots and lots and lots of climbing upstairs, downstairs. So, you know, I would say if you got any heart conditions, don't climb it. Or maybe even back problems, walking issues, whatever. Just keep that in mind if you do come to Dubrovnik. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Very a lot of history here going back a thousand years or more, but the most recent history was that war. And I'm probably going to get some of this stuff mixed up because I just cannot, there's so much information they just hit you with that I can't remember it all or recall it all. But the war was in the 1990s, and based on what my understanding was, it was ruled by communism here. I think this is when Yugoslavia was still a country. So you had Croatia, and I'm not even sure what country is now Yugoslavia, if that makes, or what you know, do you know what I'm saying? I don't know what country is the former Yugoslavia. I think I said that right. Anyway, so there's Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, I can't remember what else. And at one point, she said Bosnia was like 5 minutes from here. And I was like, wow, never in my life would I think I would be that close to Bosnia. And most people may not even know where it is, but it just has a strong thing in my mind because I was basically a very young adult during that time when all the wars were going on. So I do remember hearing about it, reading about it. And so our guide was telling us that the people of Croatia, and I'm assuming there was other places as well, they got tired of being ruled by communism. The state owned everything. No one was allowed to own, you know, any property or businesses. If the state wanted it, the state just took it, and they decided they had had enough. So they basically rebelled against communism. And so then I want to say she said Bosnia, they were being attacked, or this area was being attacked by Bosnia and Montenegro. I believe that is what she said. And there, I think I've got it on video, but there is a map where it shows in like these black dots where bombs hit the houses. And now all the houses have these like terracotta orange roofs. Those are all new property that they've rebuilt after that war. So a lot of history here, very interesting. And they've only been what we saw, not in the old city or old town, but the rest of the footage that I got, it's only been this way for about the past 25 years. So they still are not very wealthy, according to what the guide said. She said some of the people that worked in shops in the old town area, they only make maybe 600 euros a month. Some people only made 800 euros a month. So that's not very much at all. And she did say that, she didn't say what she made, but she said her husband was an engineer, so they were doing better than other people in this area. But what I saw is very, very beautiful. She said that this was the first nice day they had of this season. So we did have a beautiful day today. I went out wearing this sweater. Then it got, I mean, because the ship is pretty cool to me, so I like to have a sweater on with long sleeves or some sort of sweatshirt, something with long sleeves, because it gets cold on the ship. And when we went out, it was still pretty cool, but as soon as we got on those walls, I'm like, this sweater had to come off. So that's why I made sure I have a t-shirt on underneath it, because I got hot out there. And then I made an error in judgment. I only put sunscreen on my face and my neck and my ears. I didn't get in the tops of my feet. I didn't get my arms, so I don't know what kind of, hopefully I don't have a sunburn. I don't think I do, but that was a mistake on my part. I should have put sunscreen on my arms. I was assuming that I was going to keep this shirt on the entire time. I'm going to go up on, I think, deck 11. I'm on deck 9, if I haven't mentioned that. That's the floor that I'm on. And do some filming up there. So I'm pretty much going to be ending this vlog just after that, because did the tour. The rest of the day, I think I'm just going to relax, probably sit out on my balcony. And I also think that I'm going to do a little video separate from the vlog about what I think about the cruise ship so far, my opinion on it. I thought that might be helpful for some of you guys, but keep in mind, anything I say is just my opinion. Other people are going to have a different opinion. Some people will be extremely positive, some people will be negative. You know, everybody's got an opinion. So anyway, that's what I was going to do, was just going to go around and film and then do a little video. excuse me, and talk about, let's see, the room. I mean, I love my room, but talk about the rooms, the food, the entertainment, the price gouging that they do, because yes, they do it, and so forth and so on. So that's the plan for in the next few minutes. So I will include that video. It won't be part of the vlogs, but it will be just another video of itself about the cruise ship. Hey guys, I'm going to do one last check-in with you for the evening, and I may get interrupted, and if so, I'll just start it all over. Usually about this time, the room steward comes in and starts straightening up the room for the evening and turning down the bed and making my towel animal, so I'm expecting one of those. Anyway, so after I checked in with you last time, I went for a walk on deck 11 or 12. I get my decks mixed up. It's 11 or 12. There's a walking track up there. And so I walked about a mile. Even though I've been doing a lot of walking, a lot of climbing, I was like, I feel like I need to go take a walk to start burning some of these calories off. And then I came back and then just sat on the balcony for a few hour or so. I wanted to come in because I started getting really hot, and I finally did put the rest of my sunscreen on my arms, and I'm using like a 100 SPF. It's like, I don't want any of this to get sun damaged. I've spent way too much money on skincare. Even though, yes, I already have quite a bit of sun damage. Well, maybe not quite a bit, but I have some sun damage, so trying not to get any more. So definitely use the highest SPF that I can find. So the rest of the day, oh, before I forget, I want to tell you guys this too. So in Dubrovnik, or Dubrovnik, I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. If you guys watch the Game of Thrones, I don't watch it. I really don't know what the show's about. I think it's set in like medieval times. You're probably laughing at me right now if you are watching it or are a fan of the show. And I know there's some dragons. That's all I got. So anyway, they film it here, film it in Dubrovnik. And so there was a Game of Thrones tour, which might have been interesting if I had watched the show, but I don't. So it probably wouldn't have helped me at all. So I am happy with the tour that I did take, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. There was a Game of Thrones tour. So anyway, back to this afternoon. Took a walk, sat on the balcony. I ate lunch at some point. I don't remember if I already told you guys that or not. Then I went to a comedy show. And not that I go to a lot of comedy shows. I do not. That's just not my thing. If they're here, I'll go because it's here and it's something to do. But I do like it, you know, I do like to laugh. Yes, I do. This one was hands down the worst comedy show I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm going, where did they get this guy? They said when the guy introduced him, I don't even remember his name. That doesn't even matter now. But when they introduced him, he said he's been on many shows and something else. But basically, he couldn't tell us what he'd been on or didn't tell us. And all I know, he's from England, and a lot of time throughout the show, it wasn't even funny. He was talking to the kids in the room, which was fine, but he should have incorporated more with that, with something funny, but he didn't even do anything funny. And then at certain points, he was making fun of deaf people. He was acting like he would ask somebody if he couldn't hear, then he would just do these random signs with his hands. You could tell that's what he was doing. He wasn't just like talking with his hands. And I'm like, dude, you're not deaf. I thought it was very uncalled for to do that, just my opinion. Maybe he wasn't making fun of them, but he was acting as if he were deaf. when he couldn't understand somebody in the room. So I didn't care for that at all. And then on top of that, he wasn't even remotely funny, and people were getting up and walking out, and I really wanted to, but I didn't, because I didn't want, he called some people out for doing it, and I was like, I don't want to be called out, so I'm a chicken. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, I will not, I'm going to look at the fun times and see what his name is and make sure I do not go back to his show at all. And I can't even imagine what he's going to do in the adult show. I know, it can only go down from there. You think you could only go up from there, but I suspect it's going to go down from there. So at 7:30, there's going to be a variety act. They said he's a magician, and I think they said he won Britain's Got Talent a couple years ago. So I am planning on doing that. That's at 7:30. And that'll probably wrap me up for today. Then I'll just come back here, watch something on the TV. There's not much stuff to watch. They do have on demand, and there's some free movies, and the movies you have to pay for. It's like, I'm not paying for the movies. So some of the free ones that I have watched, they had, oh, what's it called? That newer-ish Winston Churchill movie. I watched that one. It's very interesting. I watched Paddington 2. I can't remember what else I watched. I haven't seen it yet, but they've got Dunkirk on there, which kind of goes hand in hand with that Winston Churchill movie. I may watch that one. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know anything about it, because my World War II history is not all there, but I learned more about Dunkirk from watching the Winston Churchill movie. So I kind of want to watch Dunkirk now, maybe. Or I might watch something I downloaded on my iPad. And then tomorrow, I think we're in Corfu, Greece tomorrow. I need to look at the schedule. I think it's around here somewhere, but I think that's where we are tomorrow. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the footage that I've got of Dubrovnik, Croatia. And I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed being there. And my geography is basically non-existent, and I had no idea it was this close. I want to say to like Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro. I didn't even know. I remember I did see something in one of the excursions that said they were going to stop, I think at a restroom, either in Bosnia or Serbia. I don't know which one. I can't recall at this point in time. And I was like, wow. I thought about taking that one just to go to take the restroom break there, but I decided not to, because the rest of the tour didn't sound as interesting to me. But never in a million years would I have ever thought I would have been that close to Bosnia, or in a war-torn country that it just happened 25 years ago. You know, obviously every country at some point in its existence has had wars, and multiple wars, but you know, the state I live in had, you know, we were involved in the war, the Civil War in the 1800s, but never have I been to a place that it's been that close, that it happened during my lifetime. I've never done any traveling where I've been to a place that had that type of conflict and that war when I have been alive. So it was a fascinating place to see. I definitely recommend it. I would like to come back and do some other tours in the future. It's definitely a beautiful country, and we had a beautiful weather today, wonderful weather. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today's vlog. And I also went ahead and found I'm going to call it part 1 of my thoughts and views on this cruise ship. I thought I would go ahead and do that. I filmed it on my bigger camera, but I was sitting like over there, so I was facing the window so the light could come in that way. And you're just going to see the back of the room. I did the good, the bad, the ugly of it, my opinion about everything. Now, again, it is my opinion, and other people will definitely have a different opinion. So, you know what they say about opinions. Everybody's got one. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say good night, and I will start another day's vlog in the morning. And again, I think we are going to Corfu, Greece, but if I'm wrong, it'll be one of those other places. So I'm going to say good night for now. Bye-bye, guys.